Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Going to be a little different today. We have some activity happening downstairs, and you're going to hear you're going to hear some sound now and then. But we wanted to be here and visit with you guys after the premiere of our latest episode 320 in our fentanyl poisoning series. Uh, Kimberly, I don't know what you're asking. What happened? Here we are. So, I don't know what that does. Huh. Sorry, I had a message here that didn't make any sense. Welcome, Brenda, 483, 491. Okay, Brenda, I lost track. Lost track. So, what day are we on? 500 seems like a big landmark kind of day. 500 days. Okay, 492. Okay, yeah, I was close. So, what did you guys think of the story? We had this is one of the stories that we recorded when we were in Lexington, North Carolina, working with the organizer of the guy who organized the storytelling summit. Is his name is Loomis, and he is he has an organization called Race Against Drugs, and they are quietly doing a lot in North Carolina to combat the whole fentanyl issue. I don't know if the storyteller is with us or not. He has got a lot going on right now with his wife, and that's demanding a lot of his attention. And so, don't know, don't know if he's here or not. Brenda says this story had me throwing my stuffed animals at the computer. I don't know what to make of that, Brenda. What kind of message is that? Uh, th- hmm. So in a few weeks, we're going to have a summit in San Antonio, Texas. And let me see if I can load up a graphic that I'm going to share with you guys and see what kind of feedback you have for this graphic. It's funny. I can hear what's going on out there, but I'm looking at the microphone. I'm looking at the audio meter, and it doesn't look like you guys are hearing it at all. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Let's see. So we are going to be starting a new series, and I wanted to get your feedback on it because it's a little different. It's very much in line with stories that matter. Brenda says I knew more was happening through that window, and our storyteller probably didn't know. Then, when the kids tested positive, oh, I was hot. Yeah, yeah. You can Google his name and find out more information about his ordeal. It was a tough life for him. So in San Antonio, one of the topics we're going to be addressing with our storytellers, the ones that want to, we're going to be recording fentanyl stories. We're also going to be recording any other kind of story that fits with the any of the series that are on our channel. But we're also going to be recording stories that have to do with missing, mainly missing children. Yes, Kimberly, you can feel that. You can hear it in his voice. You can feel it. It is he's in a tough spot, but it's wonderful that he took the time to share, to talk to us, to let our audience know more about what he learned from what he saw. So that is I think admirable to have shared so much. Huh, okay. And so missing people that are missing. And so here's our graphic. So what do you guys think of that? What do you think? I'm glad that he has shared with us, Kimberly says. And Brenda says, Kim, but it is beautiful that he never turned his back on his son. Yeah, that says a lot. That's what you do. Powerful. And it was just a no brainer that you have to be practical in what you can do to help, and then do that freely. And Glenn certainly did that. So who else do we have with us here? I see we have right now we have 12 people in the room, and we're only hearing talk from a couple of them. Here's the thing, if you're watching on your smart TV, you can also log into the live on your phone and then participate in the chat using your phone while still having the live event on your big, beautiful smart TV. Missing is definitely stream stories not covered by mainstream media. Yeah, it isn't getting a lot of attention out of mainstream media, and I'm hearing about it more and more from storytellers, especially who are telling me about how there is a need to increase awareness regarding the missing. That there's a lot. So yes, yeah. The storyteller's name was Glenn. Glenn with two N's, because I guess you know. So who else is with us? I don't know. It's kind of a weird time for us to be live, right? Right, Brenda, Kimberly. We're usually on in the evenings, and we're doing something a little bit different here. And so I just thought we'd see how it works. So if there's anyone new to our live events and you'd like to ask me a question, please feel free. Uh, I don't know. Can you guys hear that? It doesn't look like it. Looking at the audio meter, it looks like it's getting gated, getting filtered out. I don't know. Just thought I'd ask if you guys could hear it. Kimberly says I'm going to watch the story again and the last one I watched. I felt like with this last story there was a definite uh, different feel to it. I think even right down to the thumbnail, there was a different feel to it. Hmm. Sorry, too much going on here. Viola, welcome. Thank you for being here. You know, when I was in middle school, there was a cheerleader named Viola. She was memorable. Anyway, thank you for being here. Very glad you're here. I have a weird mix of things. Again, for those of you who I haven't already addressed, that we have uh, downstairs right now. While I'm doing this, there is uh, well, there's an event downstairs that involves. So, Viola, I had to do a little bit of math. It would have been uh, that's scary. So in yeah, 1974, 1975, that would have been it. Middle school. No, suddenly it got quiet downstairs. When are you going to do Cannabis Induced Psychosis story? I think we're all caught up. We may have one or two stories still to do that we've already recorded interviews for. I don't I don't I'm not sure, but whenever we hear from someone who has that kind of story that they want to share, we'll be happy to share it. We don't really actively seek any of our stories. That the stories they come to us, and they have a goal in sharing their story to help others. So when we heard from someone who is dealing with or who has dealt with cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, which is not cannabis induced psychosis, but it's similar. And so we will be recording her story when we get to her area, um, certainly later this year, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure when. You know. Jim, welcome. I watch a couple of channels that cover Phoenix, and boy, fentanyl is rampant there. Jim, I seem to have lost your first comment. Where did it go? Jim. Blues are a problem in Phoenix. I just tuned in. What's going on? Phoenix. We had a summit in Phoenix last year, and yeah, we'll likely be back in Arizona. Maybe not Phoenix. Maybe Scottsdale or Tucson later this year. Partly working on stories for the Missing series. Diet Coke run. There you go, just like that. Off you go. Yeah, I can't really do that, and so when I run out of coffee, that's just kind of it. I do have a remnants of a drink from Chick-fil-A over here. I have sent my friend in my chat group one of the Fentanyl series. That's awesome. It is such an easy way to spread a message just by sending someone a a link to a story and saying, "Here, I thought you might like this or you might benefit from this." Or if they're less receptive to that, you can take a different tact. You can send it to a friend and tell them, "Yeah, I saw this on YouTube, and I'm not sure whether it's really accurate or not. Could you look at it and tell me what you think?" And by doing it that way, you're empowering your friend. You're telling your friend that they have credibility with you and that you want to know what their opinion is, and you're giving them a chance to kind of show off a little bit. Viola says, "Are you not getting a lot of cannabis story candidates?" Well, no, we're hearing from some. We hear from more fentanyl story family members than we hear from cannabis story family members, but not by much. We're hearing from them. The thing is, they're all over the country, and we just don't have any specific destinations scheduled yet, other than San Antonio, Texas, Foley, Alabama, and pretty firm Memphis, Tennessee in March. Though we don't have a definite date for Memphis yet. Kimberly says, "I've sent my friend in chat." Oh, yeah, we said that. And then she has her own nonprofit for fentanyl and was really sad. It's terrible. Shoshana, Shoshana Applebaum. Shoshana, I just tuned in from Seattle. My baby Ella Rose died from fentanyl. 06 to 23. So, so is that what is that? 17? Very sorry, Shoshana or Sean. We have been we've been talking for a while. We were talking with someone in Seattle about arranging a storytelling summit for us to come up there and record interviews with people who wanted to share their stories. And it just never worked out. We got as far as a sign up page, and then just schedule conflicts started happening for everyone who expressed an interest in doing it, and ultimately it just got postponed. But we do definitely intend to get to the Seattle area, hopefully sometime this year. So what did y'all think about the uh I don't know what all I'm seeing here. Sorry, I got this question from downstairs. So, okay. Uh, Jim Bergman says, check out Kensington and Philly. It's an open drug market, and they will talk to you. And so, Seattle is close to Vancouver, Washington State, where I am from. Okay. So, Kensington, Philadelphia, we're certainly game for going there. But I also feel like Kensington is it's well known already, and I'm certainly up to go there. But to go there to just record on the streets, I don't know. We need someone in the area who's local who can kind of guide us a little bit, and then we can start um, working on getting there. All right, Jim. Shoshana. It's Shoshana. Yeah, Ella's 17th birthday was 5 days away from the day she had passed. That's terrible. And Brenda says, I am so sorry for your loss. Your strength is amazing. Thank you for joining us. Glenn does these chats every other day or so. So please join us again. Yeah, it's not always every other day, but fairly often. Virtually every Monday evening, we do one. And then there's one or two others over the course of the week. But the one on Monday evening is one that we try to make always happen. Try to make one that everyone can count on happening, even though it didn't happen last Monday. Jim, thank goodness Kensington isn't as bad as it was in 2023 and before. They have a bit of cleanup recently. Yeah, things have gotten a little better in the fentanyl world in general, and both political parties are claiming some credit for it. And And it doesn't seem to me like there is enough anything to have for politicians on either side to have anything to brag about. And so I think that the decline or the reduction in the fatality rate is uh, probably primarily because of the efforts of nonprofit organizations like Fentanyl Fathers and Lost Voices of Fentanyl and the 111 Project and a whole bunch of others, uh, quite a few that are represented on our channel, either in the Fentanyl Awareness Organization's playlist or mentioned in closing credits and descriptions and stuff. There's a lot of those, and they're very active. A lot that are extremely active, and that makes a lot more sense than politicians claiming victory when they haven't really done much of anything. It could also be this is the thing nobody seems to want to think about. It could be that the these cartels, these illicit manufacturers, it could be that they have just sorted out how better to measure the doses that they put in each counterfeit pill. And since they're measuring the doses better, they're killing fewer people and reducing the heat on their business. Could be. Kimberly says, "We are here for you, Shauna." That's right. Kensington Cleanup is being funded by Temple University, which would be fine if they dedicated a bunch of money to study the disease of addiction. Right now, we are nowhere close to where we need to be. Studying the disease of addiction. It seems to me that the disease of addiction is really it's not the disease, it is the symptom. And that ultimately the disease is something before the addiction, trauma, or PTSD, or some other mental health issue, or something like that. But it's easier to look at a substance use disorder because that you can point at it and you can point out the baggie full of white powder and say, "There's your problem right there," and then go from there, and that can work. But yeah, it seems like the real issue is what motivated using to begin with. Yeah, Brenda, I watched the Kensington series to get a better understanding. Kensington seems like a great opportunity, a great with all that's going on, all the attention. Looking at Kensington where it's at now and comparing that to where it was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 7 years ago, that looking at those things is a great way to measure progress. So you guys be sure and remember to give us a thumbs up here. It helps a little bit. Classy Mom, thank you for joining us. You don't need to go watch it right now. You can stay with us here. We're not going to be going too much longer. We're probably going to go another 15, 20, 25 minutes. Uh, and then you can go watch it. It's the story that premiered today is a 30-minute story. It's from North Carolina, and it's a father. We have very few fathers sharing their stories, and it was really admirable that he stepped up and is doing and was willing to face that difficulty and share the story about his son. Brenda says, my motivation was a prescription from a doctor for a back injury when I was 42 years old. A doctor, I'm sorry, I didn't start early. I didn't use with friends, didn't didn't go on to other drugs. Classy Mom says, wow, seems like many stories from North Carolina. Thank you, Dad, for sharing. For sure. Yeah, I think that is the last story we have recorded right now from North Carolina. We are all caught up with the interviews from North Carolina, I believe. I don't know if you guys can hear what's going on or not. Downstairs, it's a baby shower. So that means there's a whole lot of estrogen downstairs. Not sure. Not sure if there's anything downstairs that's worth going into that. Yeah. So the next big event, San Antonio, Foley, Alabama, and Memphis, Tennessee, and they're not. Yeah, I don't see. It seems dangerous. Way too much estrogen down there. Yeah. Yeah. Classy moms are celebrating new life is always wonderful. Interesting thing about the crowd that's downstairs right now. I guess there's about 20 people down there. One of them is someone I went to elementary school with and high school. So that's kind of cool. Brenda says, Kim, most people do use in high school with friends. Then they go to try other drugs. So part of this definition of addiction, I never should have had a problem. Viola says, hit the thumbs up, peeps. Yes, Kimberly, I think that is the time when we're planning to be there as well. Pretty sure we're just we're just finalizing everything. So, who else is with us? Does anyone? I love the message from Jim. It says, "Don't go downstairs." That's funny to me. As yeah, I just the kind of sound that's coming up from downstairs, I find scary. It's not like a growling tiger. It's way scarier than that. Brenda says Kim, Memphis in March doesn't sound as fun as Memphis in May. Why? So Sean, so Shauna, thanks for being here. I need to leave. I'll hit the thumbs up. Thank you for being here, and we will hopefully see you the next time we do one of these, which will probably be more in the evening, like our typical thing. Probably. Never know. Never know. There's so much going on these days. Brenda, March is spring break. Okay. Well, the event we're going for, I don't I don't remember all the details regarding it, and that's just on me. But I know that it is a big deal. It'll be an important event, and by then we will have a better sense of how the uh, this new story, new series missing about missing people. We'll have a better sense of how that is evolving and how that's going to. If it gets a lot of attention, we might have stories from family members who have someone missing out of their family, and so that could become a thing as well. Glenn, did you do a story on Jacob Garrett? No, I don't. I don't believe that name doesn't ring any bells. Jacob Garrett. No, I don't. I don't think so. Should I know Jacob Garrett? Is he a Memphis local or is he somewhere else? So, does anyone have any questions for us about Texas Pictures or about the other projects that we're working on, or anything like that? Anything that you'd like to have more information about regarding our channel, or about sharing a story, or whatever? I always like to remind folks, you're free to ask whatever you'd like to ask, and we'll give you the best answer we can. And um, and of course, an honest answer. It's not a very good answer if it's not honest. So the best answer we can has to be honest. It's simple. If anyone would like to present, if anyone has any questions for us, please feel free to just ask away. Ask away. And I really get a lot of guidance from you guys But thank you for checking out, uh, Brenda. Thank you for uh, doing a search to confirm. Have you heard anything on the congressional bill to get these online sources selling drugs? No. I know there's efforts going on, and I think those efforts are important, but I don't think they're as important as efforts to curb the demand. The demand is a thing, the demand is a real thing, and the demand is what drives everything. Until we get demand under control, nothing's going to change. You know, we have this the substance use disorder, the drug problems in this country didn't begin with fentanyl. There was a problem well before fentanyl. There was prescription drugs as a problem. There was crack cocaine as a problem. There was heroin as a problem. And if you just keep going back, there was Quaaludes at one time. You remember Quaaludes pills? And little by little, those things got replaced by something else. And there's no reason, there's no evidence to indicate that cycle is going to change. There's no reason to think that this time there won't be a replacement once we get fentanyl under control. Indeed, there's already replacements. There's carfentanil, there's trank, there's other things out there that is moving right in and will take over. So going after a specific substance, it it isn't realistic to expect any kind of results from that. Going after substances in general, it isn't realistic to expect a lot of results from that either. You have to go after the demand. And when I say go after the demand, I don't mean go out and arrest people who are buying, who are addicted. I mean, go after the demand in terms of make the demand go away. Give the demand an option that is safer. Give the demand some reason, some replacement. When we were working on a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids back in 2017, I interviewed several homeless people who said, I am not drinking anymore because they're smoking synthetic cannabinoids, because they're smoking K2, Kush, whatever. And they said, it helped me quit drinking as if that was a good thing. It replaced alcohol with another substance. So it's not about the substance, it's about the motive. It's easy. It's the motive. It's the demand. The demand is behind the whole business. All of the business is demand driven. If the demand goes away, the supply is going to go away. That's how it works in every single business in the history of the world. If there's no demand, the supply goes away. And so there are some people who comment on our channel who will say, well, that's not how it's going to work with this. It has never, ever not worked that way. Not once, not ever. So I don't, You tell stories all over the country or just more southern states? Well, wherever. We've shot stories in Anchorage, Alaska. There have been, I have a map. Most of you have seen the map, but I will show it again because I feel like it's kind of cool. And the map shows where we have had storytelling summits all over the country. See, we've been to Alaska, we've been to California, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, all over Texas. Shocker, because we live here, and more, obviously, more on the eastern United States. Most of these destinations, except for California and Alaska, are places where we've driven to do the stories. And the advantage to driving is that driving, when we're driving, we can bring more gear. Our schedule is a whole lot more flexible, and it doesn't cost as much. So yeah, we go anywhere. We're actually talking to someone in Canada who, well, wants us to come there to to record stories, and happy to do that. Happy to come to Australia or the UK or wherever. What about doing a series on prescription drugs? Kimberly says, yeah, we're certainly open to that. Really, when we do these storytelling summits, they are wide open. Topic wise, we may record an interview for a story about fentanyl, and then the next interview will be human trafficking or domestic violence or cannabis related, like cannabis induced psychosis or uh, cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, something like that, or something else. So when we do these summits, they're not restricted to a specific topic. Car fentanyl was what my son got in Alaska, says Classy Mom. Brenda says Viola, the one for animals, is xylazine, also known as trank. Carfentanil is 100 times stronger than fentanyl. Yeah. And carfentanil is likely to, it seems to me, carfentanil is likely to become more commonplace because it's more concentrated. So it's harder to measure, but easier to ship, easier to hide, all that. Brenda says, Viola, girl, you are well. You can hear it. Girl, you are welcome. I almost died gaining this knowledge, so I am happy when it can be used for good. That's it. That's the thing. That's really a wonderful thing to have that opportunity to pay your experience forward. Brenda says, supply and demand. When was the last time you drove past the blacksmith place? Bingo. Or just to modern it up a little bit, a blockbuster. Netflix didn't put Blockbuster out of business by going after the movie studios that create the content they were selling. Netflix put Blockbuster out of business by going after the customers, offering the customers something better. It is ridiculous to think somehow this one this one business of of drugs works better, works differently from all the other businesses. It's ridiculous to think that. It's ridiculous to think going after the supply is going to have an impact. We've been engaged in this war on drugs for a long time. We have had victories. Quaaludes are not a thing now, but they were in the 70s. The reason Quaaludes aren't a thing now is because the DEA won. The federal government won by going after the supply. So the consumer, the demand, moved on to another substance. And that happens over and over and over. It baffles me. So many people who are in the business world know all this, know it clearly. They were taught it in college, they witnessed it firsthand. They are old enough to know, even if they weren't taught it in college. But no, they think somehow going after the cartel or going after the source for the precursors to fentanyl in China. I mean, it's okay to do those things, but to expect some sort of substantial result from that, that's just stupid. Why? Why would that happen? Why would there be somehow this anomaly where even though it's never, ever, ever worked in business and it's never worked in the war on drugs either, it's never worked anywhere, anytime. Yet we keep proceeding forward with the idea that if we can stop that, it'll fix it. And it won't. Duh. It won't. Until we do something that substantially reduces demand, make it not worth it. If there's no demand, fentanyl could be on the streets, literally on the streets, just loose pills scattered all over the street, and it wouldn't matter because there's no demand, there's no interest in it. Nobody's going to pick it up and do it. Nobody's going to. The way to stop the cartels is to quit buying things from them. How is that not obvious? Kimberly says now magic mushrooms are back. See, as long as things keep cycling back, consumers will find a way. And fentanyl is of course it's deadly, but fentanyl is it's just what's happening now, and it's constantly evolving, just like it has always done. And for some reason, we keep doing it. We keep believing it's going to do something. Why? Why would it be different today than it was 5 years ago? Why is it different now than it was during the crack epidemic, during the oxycodone thing, during uh, heroin epidemic. When all of those things were happening, they're just step by step. Why? Can any? Oh, okay. So sorry, I went off on my little rant there, but I believe I'm done now, and so I'll try to tone it down a little bit, and I'll just check with our audience yet again. We have 18 people in the room right now. Is there anybody who has any questions for me or for Texas Pictures? Because everybody got quiet because I started ranting about supply and demand. Probably put you all to sleep. I was told last year that people on the streets need something to do, like just to stay awake. Maybe that's still an indicator of demand. If it's being used to stay awake so that you can protect your stuff while you're on the street or whatever, still it's still a demand thing. Until we fix the demand, it's not going to get any better. All good, Glenn. Well, thank you. Thank you, Viola. When I was told that I couldn't get grasp of it, hmm, well, yeah, I can rant. Okay, and that's a big one to me. It really is because it's just a nonsense distraction. There's no money in going after the demand. There's no money in fixing the demand, but there is money, all kinds of money, in going after the supply. There is police overtime. There is law enforcement stuff. There is court stuff. There is uh, legal stuff. There's no money in fixing it, but there's a lot of money in fighting it. And really, I think the same thing. And I think the same thing about impaired driving as well. It doesn't need to be. This is going to sound very weird. Doesn't need to be illegal to drive impaired. The reason for that is it's not the being impaired that causes fatalities. It's the other crimes that people commit while their judgment is impaired that causes death. It's either ignoring traffic signs, speeding, um, running a red light, not staying in their lane, doing something that is already illegal. If we crack down on all the other traffic crime, that matters. You know, 3/4 of fatal car crashes are not identified as involving alcohol. 1/4 is. 40,000 people a year are killed in car crashes. 10,000 of them are impaired driving, are identified as impaired driving. It could be more. It doesn't matter because it wasn't the impaired driving that caused the crash. It was the other crime, the speeding. the not staying in your lane, the running a traffic light. I know y'all heard a little of that. It's those things. Traffic crime kills more people and costs more money than any other kind of crime. And 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 somehow that's acceptable to us. Why? It's such a simple thing, such a simple way to save lives. I don't understand. But look at that. We have been here over an hour. Why don't people have a backup driver? Yeah, having a designated. Holy cow! There's Uber and Lyft. There's no defense for driving drunk. But if we all took the act of driving more seriously, fewer people would drive drunk. I believe driving for most of us is the most dangerous thing we will ever do, and we do it all the time without ever giving any thought to just how dangerous it really is. It's operating a heavy machine around a whole bunch of other people also operating a heavy machine. Anyway, it is about time to wrap things up. We have been here for an hour and 3 minutes, an hour and 4 minutes. Okay, whatever. So I wanted to take a minute before I go. I'm going to check one last time. Any other questions or comments? Maybe there's some. One thing, the Cannabis Induced Psychosis series really draws a lot of criticism from cannabis defenders. Yet we never see them here. They will say, they'll do that keyboard warrior thing and have plenty to say in comments on the story, but we don't ever see them here where we can have a back and forth of sorts. We don't get that. Why? I don't I don't get why there's so many cannabis defenders who won't or if they're in the audience they don't speak up. Why not come here and have dialogue? Now that's the thing that stands out to me about the cannabis stuff is that both sides both sides have this confirmation bias. Both sides leap to conclusions and fail to the big thing for the side that is opposed to cannabis being legal, the big thing for them is that they need to acknowledge and accept, I think, is that it's not going away. It's unrealistic to think it's going away. And for the cannabis defenders, it's not realistic to say it's safe. It's not realistic to say it's just a plant. It's retarded. There's tons of evidence tons of research, tons. It goes back to the 19th century. That's the 1800s, folks. It goes back to the 19th century that proves and in France, in Europe, in other parts of the world, there's tons of research that supports the that cannabis represents potential dangers, and cannabis defenders just that must have been laced. That wasn't real flour. That was it was sprayed with something or whatever. They make excuses for it, and so it's just really it's baffling to me. It's bizarre to me. I find it so hard to understand because the sides, both sides, they have the same kind of response, just from a different perspective. Like, um, well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to delve too deep into the whole cannabis thing, but people need to come together on it. People need to understand the other side, and that there is just no. We see a lot of people on both sides who are unwilling to budge outside of whatever their preconceived notions are. And preconceived notions can be based on substantial research, and just because there's given they're giving some thought to another perspective doesn't make the research invalid. It doesn't discredit the research. And people who are opposed to cannabis being legalized have all the facts, really. There's tons of evidence that supports cannabis not being legal. Tons. Credible. Not just from the US, not just from the not from the alcohol lobby, not from the pharmaceutical lobby. Tons of research. Long term. It's crazy. It's amazing the gigantic volume of research that's out there. And there's no willingness for either side to really communicate with the other side. We communicate with all sides. Ah, that has brought us under so many challenges. We'll just say it that way. That's a good way to put it. Anyway, I know that we already got Brenda's wonderful message. I love the message. What you take for granted, someone else is praying for. That's such a big deal. It so hammers home how important it is to be grateful. We all have things to be grateful for in our lives. If you're here, you're doing well enough to swing internet access. That's a cool thing. Classy said my son suffered from cannabis-induced cannabis psychosis, severely major paranoia when he was younger. He claimed gummies didn't give the same effect, but I question that. Viola says, once I realized that they were less seeds, I was like, Classy, I have suffered from the same thing from cannabis. Yeah, it is to say it's safe because it's a plant. That's just stupid. Poppy is a plant, also. And if you don't know what that means, you should just Google it. Because if you don't know what it means, you need to learn how to learn. So, anyway, we are going to wrap it up for now. We've been here over 70 minutes. But I always like to let you guys know we are here for you. And I'm not just saying that's we're with you guys. We are in the fight. We are here to help people, to increase awareness. So feel free to reach out anytime. Really, reach out anytime. So you can reach us by email at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find us on Facebook by searching for my name, Glenn Muse, and sending me a friend request. You can also visit our website, texas-pictures.com, and you'll find information on the website like a page devoted to how to share your story, what's involved in the process, and how all of that happens. There's also a link to our merchandise store. Yes, we have a merchandise store, and we have a merchandise store because YouTube said we should have a merchandise store, so we got one. You'll also find on our website more information about us, a mailing address, a telephone number, and a little bit about our history and some of the other production work that we've done. So, thank you all again very much for joining us for this afternoon live event while a baby shower goes on downstairs. So, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next live event, which will probably be on Monday. Should be on Monday. Until then, you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.